And welcome back to another episode of Tidal Flooding Talk, brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition. I'm Joe Martucci. He's Dan Skeldon. It's the meteorologist for today. Palma will be back with us in May. Dan, what's going on here? Usually you're at the studio, your FMZ studio. Now you have your new, am I saying this right, Tripoli fire jacket on? Did I butcher that? Did I butcher that?
You did.
I did.
It's
Okay.
it's actually a local pronunciation, kind of like Buna or Absecon or anything. It's New Tripoli
New
up here with the
Tripoli.
Pennsylvania. So they stress the later syllables in the word.
Gotcha. New Tripoli. So, it's good to see you at home. Excuse me. Hope all's well and the pollen isn't too bad for you either, as I'm coughing.
Not yet, but it's coming.
Mm,
Allergy sufferer is going to be sniffling and sneezing a lot, especially if it's a dry spring.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
will see, and we'll see if I can sneak in a podcast and a recording here without any interruptions. Because normally I just got meteorologists behind me in the weather
Right.
center.
Right.
Today I do have locked doors, but I have a
Okay.
4-year-old and a 7-year-old
Right.
probably going to be curious as to what's coming on.
Interesting. So meteorologists pretty well behaved, you think? We're pretty well behaved as meteorologists.
Clayton can act up from time to time, but yes,
Yeah.
in general, meteorologists are well behaved. Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's bring on our guest here for today. We have none other than the South Jersey weather legend himself, Jim Eberwine, reclaiming his title as the most frequented Tidal Flooding Talk guest.
Whoa.
He is coming to us from Absecon, one of those names that we said are a
Yeah.
little funny. Jim, what's happening? Good to see you.
It is not. No, totally unrelated.
We just opened ours up a few months ago.
I'm sure it's pretty popular.
Yes, it is.
I'm a frequent Chipotle
No,
customer up here.
very good, very good.
Are
Good
you
to
are
see
you a free to guac person, Dan?
I'm not.
No, okay.
Nope.
Gotcha.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys.
It's great to be with you, Jim. I mean, we, all, Dan Palma says she sorry she couldn't make it, and I, we love having you on here. Let's just start with this. What are you doing nowadays? Like, what's on the spring calendar for Jim Eberwine right now?
Well, I'm still teaching. I'm still teaching at ACCC. I'm teaching. I have air traffic controller, drone, rotor, and fixed wing, trying to keep them out of trouble. And we go over the weather quite a bit. We go over a lot of things. We went over very extensively what happened up there at LaGuardia. And that's kind of a learning experience. And when I tell the students that you're going to be in a very safe environment when you get into the aviation community, and then something like that happens, I just tell them that it's unfortunate that we're safer flying today because of things that have happened in the past. But unfortunately, what happened in LaGuardia, that was something that you really don't see too often. I'm telling you. But anyway, I'm doing that, and there's a hiatus with FEMA now. They have a little bit of a budget problem, so they cut back the training going across the country. Still with emergency management of Absecon, and we're waiting for a declaration, perhaps, on the snowstorm that we had. And it's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. The bad thing is there's a ton of paperwork that has to be done, and I'm sure your emergency managers listening here will say that. Other than that, just staying busy.
Yeah, we've said it 1,000 times. Retirement's been more busy for you than when you were working at the National Weather Service. So when you say disaster declaration, or I forget the verbiage, but is that for the January snowstorm or the February storm?
February. Well, what they do is each county has a threshold they have to meet, and it's per capita. So many dollars per capita. And once you reach that value, like in Atlantic County, it's $1.3 million. For snow removal, salt, and things like that. Up north in the more densely populated counties, some of their threshold may be $3 or $4 million. So when you add everything up with that storm, if they make the threshold, then what happens is they submit all the paperwork, all the trucks that were used, the people that were used, overtime stuff, and then FEMA will recover 75% of that for the community. So that's pretty good. That's why you have emergency managers in most localities around the country.
As emergency manager, Jim, are you grateful this winter is over? I mean, did it feel as long to you as it did to the general public?
You know what, Dan? Yes, it did, because that 4-week cold snap. I mean, as soon as that snow fell, if you didn't get out there that night and shovel it, you were dead. And even the guys that came in to shovel properties, they couldn't use their regular snow blowers and stuff because they would have broken them because it was so solid. So they had to bring in these heavy duty, like front end loaders, hydraulic things to get that ice off of there. And funny, with the other snow we got, 15 to 20 inches, I was out the next day. The road departments did a tremendous job in cleaning up that snow. But it was very heavy and a lot of trees down. Now I'm waiting, and up in your neck of the woods too, Dan. I'm waiting to see what this fire season's going to be with all this fuel.
Yeah, it's been dry, in New Jersey. I mean, this is Tidal Flooding Talk, but we'll talk about adjacent topics. And, the NJDP has New Jersey still in a drought warning. The New Jersey Drought Monitor, or the United States Drought Monitor, they have new updates every Thursday. We're recording this a little bit before the release day of the 21st. So I'm not even going to say where we're at because it's going to be old news. But the point is, we look to be kind of going backwards, which is not good. And, we remember, right, Jim? I mean, it was last April with that Jones Road fire, which if you're not familiar with, New Jersey was in the Pine Barrens, but specifically on the eastern side of the Pine Barrens, fairly close to a lot of population. Now, thankfully, it was not a tremendously devastating in terms of life and property, but the Garden State Parkway, the main roadway for the Jersey Shore. I mean, you're seeing, I see the burn scars every time we go through there.
Well, that was their last declaration for the state of New Jersey.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we're kind of due for, I hate to say it, we're kind of due for a bad fire season.
Yeah.
Because they're cyclical like everything else. Like winters, you have good ones and bad ones. But, we've had this persistent drought. We dented a little bit in February into March, especially, but drying out a little bit now in April. So, you kind of hope for the best. But just like with tidal flooding, with fire season, you hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
Well, have you ever heard the name Horace Byers or
No.
Horace Soames? I'm sorry, HORACSOMES. If you Google him, he is the expert in the state of New Jersey for wildfires, and he's been around for a long time. And he's part of the Historical Society. I sat in on a couple of his things. He knows everything about wildfires. His name is Horace Soames, SOMES.
Horace Soames, SOMES. I'm going to pull it up on the Google machine. Looks like he's from the Pine Barrens here. He was retired New Jersey forest fire warden. Would that be correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to sit in on some of his presentations, they are absolutely dynamite.
All right. Well, we're going to, I do want to check it out. Hopefully we don't have to worry about any of that this season here.
Let's hope.
Jim, this winter, despite the two big storms we had, coastal flooding at the Jersey Shore fairly quiet since October. October we had that nor'easter, but fairly quiet.
Joe, I got to interrupt you. You never say quiet in a police department.
Sorry, yeah, knock on wood somewhere.
Right, Dan?
That's right. Yeah, Joe just teed up another huge Mother's Day nor'easter now.
I know.
It's basically that's coming now.
Here comes the big one. Here comes.
We won't talk about. It's going to be super busy this season. Super busy this spring and summer. Incredible coastal flooding. But I do. Let's hope it. Fingers crossed. It stays quiet as we go forward.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. What's I don't know, anything over the winter tidal flooding or coastal flooding related you kind of came across, Jim, that was interesting?
It really, again, I heard a lot of descriptions about that ice, 6-inch snowfall on the ice. That was probably the biggest conversation of all. How people just hate the winter. And I'm thinking, we only had 6 inches of snow, but they absolutely hated it. What else happened? We didn't have much. We missed the big tidal flooding event when that February snowstorm, the wind switched around.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I got to tell you guys this. April of 1982, there was a forecaster in charge of the office in New York City by the name of Harold Gibson. And I was working, he put out a blizzard warning in April of 1982. And people said, are you crazy? I think he had a day and a half before he retired. It was the best forecast put out for a blizzard. Now, the Mount Holly office, when you saw this one, it was incredible because I was briefing the police department Sunday afternoon about a blizzard coming. And the police officer says to me, hey, Jim, have you looked outside? And I said, yeah. He said, it's raining. I said, oh, God, crap. We're calling for a blizzard.
Right.
And you're really, As a forecaster, you're sitting on edge and you're thinking, God, please, we got to change this
We
over.
got to flip over.
Yeah.
We got
You
to.
know, to say, or sorry, Jim, go ahead, finish. My
No, go
apologies.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I on that February storm, I was kind of sweating. I was sweating because that Sunday, it really was staying as rain for a while. And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
knew it was going to go from rain to snow, but it was hanging on. And I'm like, geez, it's going to be one of these things where it doesn't flip for a while. And we're going to get like 6, 7 inches instead of double digits or foot.
Double digits.
Kinda like for most of New Jersey, what we lost in terms of snow on the front end, we actually gained on the back end because that Monday, it really snowed most of the day Monday, and it was ripping on our Monday mornings. Yeah, sometimes you gotta be a little patient and get it. You know, we're gonna take our first break here, Jim. We'll come back, finish the conversation, but we gotta cut to our commercial here, but we'll be right back on Tidal Flooding Talk. Base flood elevation is the level floodwaters are expected to reach in a major storm. Building below it puts your home at risk. Building just 1 foot above it can significantly lower flood insurance costs and reduce flood damage. And don't forget to elevate mechanical equipment like air conditioners and generators. Small changes can make a big difference. This message is brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition.
Welcome back to this week's Tidal Flooding Talk. We have a trifecta of meteorologists, Joe Martucci, Jim Eberwine, myself, kind of recapping the winter a little bit, tidal flooding and otherwise, and maybe speculate a little bit about what's coming up, including a El Nino, or depending on who you believe, a super El Nino. We'll see. Jim, one of the things about the winter for me, I mean, and I will say too, if we're talking blizzard warnings this April, I think that hatred for winter will grow even more. Thankfully, we're not. But I think we mentioned it on a couple of past episodes of Tidal Flooding. The thing that sticks out for me in Pennsylvania is we were 8 degrees here in New Tripoli, or as Joe says, New Tripoli, and it was sleeting. And I've never seen sleet at 8 degrees. So as a snow lover, that was just depressing. But to be 8 degrees, figure you're locked in with snow, and, not the case.
Well, Joe texts me and he says, we're getting sleet. What was the temperature, Joe?
It was like 15 or something.
And I'm thinking, boy, you never get it. And it came down in Burlington County, especially. They had some great video of the sleet, how thick it was. Man, that was brutal up there. That was brutal.
Yeah, totally. Jim, with the winter, I'm thinking back to the January nor'easter that we had. And we got saved a little bit, tidal flooding wise. We didn't get as significant as even what I was forecasting or other places, because that wind direction is so fickle, because you're looking at a northeast wind and you get tidal flooding, but if it goes just north enough, and even if you're in the southern part of the Jersey Shore and even parts of the Delmarva, it's a little more north than northeast. You got an offshore wind, right?
You're dead as far as if you're looking for tidal flooding. And again, I mean, this February one, I mean, it was throwing everybody up into major, and I think 1 or 2 spots had record levels, and that wind backed around just a few. I think it was just a few hours before the high tide.
Mm-hmm.
And it was strong enough, and it just capped it off. It laid the tide down. So that's always a headache. But when you get 2 out of 3 from the storm, that's good. Meatloaf said 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So we got the wind and we got the snow, but we didn't get the tide, so that was good.
Yeah.
That's the one people want to do without, right? I mean, you could deal with wind, you could deal with snow. Tidal flooding is probably the worst of the bunch. If you're talking major to record levels, that's the one that's gonna, you can't shovel water.
No. And the other thing I'm waiting for, the last beach survey came out October 25th after that storm. And I'm waiting to see what the January one and the February one especially did to the beaches along the coast, because there was some pretty good erosion on that January one.
I haven't seen anything though, Jim. Are they even are they going to put one out?
Yeah,
the New Jersey DEP?
Yeah. But I think I checked the other day, and it's October 25th, the Coastal Engineering, and they'll probably have them coming out April when things settle down a little bit, when they do the beach surveys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're usually on top of it.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm surprised. Like, if there wasn't one now, I didn't know if there was going to be one in the future.
Exactly.
I was just, excuse me, I was just in Strathmere, which is in Cape May County, the other day, and I got drone footage of the beach of the scarping of the beaches and the cliffs on the beach. That's what scarping is, essentially those cliffs. And it's pretty dramatic. I mean, granted, not the whole Jersey Shore looks like that, but it's major erosion in spots. And, you know, we pretty new at the time of recording. The U.S. Representative Jeff Van Drew was able to secure $99 million from the Army Corps of Engineering to reinstate those beach replenishment projects that were going on in Strathmere, in Ocean City, and Sea Isle City for 2026. I don't know if you know anything more, Jim. I'm hoping it gets done by Memorial Day, but that seems to be probably too
that's a push. That's a push. That's a push to get that done so quickly. But again, I would guess maybe in the next week or two you'll see something out of coastal engineering. And again, getting back to that blizzard, that was classic by all accounts, man. That was just a classic gutsy call.
Yeah.
And we're all just, holy crap.
Well, you're looking at those computer models, and I think we've talked about Tidal Flooding Talk a few weeks ago. I mean, there is a 36-hour period of time, like that Wednesday night to probably Friday morning before the storm, which was a Sunday to Monday, where you're just looking at what the computer models show. Forget about your own forecasting, but computer models, and the totals just keep going up and up and up, where you're looking at, you know, a swath of New Jersey at 36 inches plus, and you're like, and it's holding on. You know, we call it diamond hands in the financial world if you're trading stocks, but it's like, is this actually going to happen? Like, you can never really forecast for a record event. But I'm like, I was getting pretty close. I'm like, I don't know. Like, at some point, I don't think it's going to happen, but it was so, what's the word? Steady in showing those high totals. I'm like, it looked like it could have been historic, like the #1 all-time snowstorm for a period of time there.
Well, you know, being the Olympic year, GFS got the gold medal on it.
That's correct. Yeah.
Because for almost a week and a half, they kept showing boom, boom, boom. 40 inches, 30 inches, 25 inches, 30 inches, 40. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. But yeah. And then they all came in the consensus.
So it's painstakingly slow to reach that consensus sometimes, but they did eventually get there, and it was nice, you know, to see the American leading the way. The American model gets beat up a lot, and rightfully so a lot of the time. But it's nice when it scores a victory every once in a while as well.
Yeah. The Canadian model did some good forecasting as well, so they snuck in there a little bit. Well, they should because they're bringing us all this crap.
Yeah, it's all the cold air, right? You know, and also too, shout out to the other American model, the North American model, because they were on the you know, again, this is for New Jersey. We know we have listeners far and wide, but in New Jersey, you know, we had the December snow, which was in the middle of December. The North American model pretty much nailed that. The January storm pretty much nailed that too. And there was another event, not the February one, but one before it, where they pretty much nailed it. So yeah, American models did very well this winter here. And, you know, all the models do fairly well. You know, we get better and better with that, but the models really did well here. So we're going to take our final break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to hear more from Jim on this episode of Tidal Flooding. Thanks to the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, your flood insurance bills are lower and your streets safer from the reality of flooding. Since beginning in 2013, we build more resilient shoreline communities. Our member towns develop and share in best practices that anticipate future concerns and create flooding solutions. From our town-specific free web app for flooding information to our weekly Tidal Flooding Talk show, we focus on flooding 24/7. Visit www.njcoastalcoalition.com for more. Living at the Jersey Shore means beautiful beaches, but also real flood risks from storms, high tides, and rising seas. Flooding can happen anytime, even without a hurricane. That's something we talk about all the time here on Tidal Flooding Talk. And your homeowner's insurance, it doesn't cover floods. That's why flood insurance through the National Flood Insurance Program is so important. It protects your homes, your belongings, and peace of mind. Check your flood risk at floodsmart.gov or contact your local floodplain manager and buy or renew flood insurance. It could save you thousands, and because if you're a member town of the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, you will save extra points through the FEMA Community Rating System. All right, we are back here with Jim. We are wrapping up our conversation. You know, to be honest, we didn't really have when we're with Jim, we don't really have like a set topic. We just kind of let it roll.
Yeah.
turns out this topic is this past winter. That's what we've been getting into. What else was going on this winter, Jim, down in Seeking and at the south part of Jersey Shore?
Well, whenever you get into the winter, it's always anticipation. It's always anticipation of something happening. And but you know what was interesting? I think this year and last year were the first back-to-back December, January, February below normal
Of all time?
or something like that.
In a while, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the other thing too is I've been following temperatures and for our major climate stations, and believe it or not, some of them are actually, when you put a trend line on these temperatures from 2007 to recent, they're actually coming down. Some of them, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
whoa, they're coming down a little bit. I think Allentown and maybe Georgetown's going up. Atlantic City was coming down. Philly's still going up a little bit of a, over the last, 7 to 20 is 19 years. So it's interesting when you look at these graphs, they're not all going up. Some of them are coming down, but then it's offset around the world where things are going up instead of going down.
Yeah, I'm taking a look now, and you're right. I mean, obviously the past 2 years, both were below average, like you said. I mean, this was our coldest at the Jersey Shore, generally our coldest winter since 2014-15, although in Atlantic City itself, it was our coldest winter since, like, I forget, I got to pull it up, in like 20 years, something like that. And that cold stretch, Jim, that cold stretch after that January nor'easter into early February was our coldest stretch of air since the 1980s, which was incredible to think about. Not that we broke any record, we didn't break many record cold days, but it was so persistently cold for 28 days. We didn't go above freezing for a stretch, which, in Allentown I know can happen, but and at the Jersey Shore and the coastal counties, that's for 2, maybe 3 days, but after 3 days, that's just rare to have, We had that.
Did you happen to see the water temperature at 27? 28?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, slush,
so
right?
It wasn't. We weren't going to get any relief off the ocean when that storm came. It was cold. That was cold.
Yeah, I mean, the slush and the ice on the bays around for a long time. I mean, the last time I remember that was 2017 into 2018, right around that Christmas, New Year's time frame. But I think there was even more. And of course, I would say the most maybe viral picture of this all was Wildwood on the beach, where it was an ice rink. People were ice skating on the beach in Wildwood because of the way that the precipitation fell, because it was, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. It was snow, then it was sleet, then it was rain, and then it froze right away. And then, I was out there on the ice 9 days later, and granted, it was starting to break up at that point, but still, to be on the beach in Wildwood, your latitude's pretty far south compared to the rest of New Jersey. It was pretty incredible.
Hey Dan, how do you negotiate those roads up where you are when you get that kind of? It's got to be a mess, isn't it? The ice and stuff.
They do a really good job. They really, really do. You shouted out the road crews. I think they have an underappreciated job. People want to be plowed out and, immediately, even if you live on a sparsely populated side street. And they have a tough task when you're talking about the amount of snow and sleet and ice we got this winter. And they do a fantastic job. I'm impressed too with the cold. I think that's why a lot of people have hated the last 2 winters, the below average temperatures that have been so persistent. And it's one of the winters where I can say there was snow on the ground for so long. It's one of the biggest winters in terms of snow cover that I can remember in recent memory. So, but no, they do a really nice job plowing up here. And, as a first responder, that's important too, to be able to, to get to the fire department and get to calls.
They have a lot of miles, man, of up and down roads. And I'll tell you, those guys, they really earned their money over there, boy. Hundreds and hundreds of miles that are, you just could not get through if you didn't have it cleared off. It was just incredible. And they used to call us, and we would call them back sometime at 3 o'clock in the morning and tell them it's not coming in at 5, it's coming in at 3. And then they would say, thanks a lot. And then they get the crews in. So, yeah. And that's it. When you can work with the utility guys, you're in good shape.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, we have about 2 minutes left. I knew this was going to go by like a GIF, and it did. Jim, what we do at the end of every episode, we do the one thing we can't stop talking about, tidal flooding or otherwise. Dan, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go?
You go first. You always offer it to me, but you should kick it off this week.
All right. So I'm thinking about the meteor, the fireball, the comet, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. On April 6th, there was one that streaked across the sky. It started in Long Island. It ended in Galloway, which is the town just north of Jim. It burned up and disintegrated in the atmosphere. You and I were talking about this off camera a little bit, Dan. It feels like this has happened a little more than previous. It might just be because everyone has a cell phone, probably what it is. But I didn't see it with my own two eyes. Some people saw it. A few people heard it rumble too. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I heard it was low enough in the sky to create a little bit of a sonic boom, which is something that South Jersey's had a lot of experience with.
Yeah.
Not all due to meteors, but due to fighter jets and everything else over recent years. So yeah, it definitely creates a lot of buzz lately.
How come I'm always the last one to know this?
We gotta get you on Instagram.
It's right down the street from me, and weathermen are always looking up. What the heck?
I know. Yeah, what's going on with you? Oh, I was saying, Dan, what's your one?
For me, well, we are opening our pool next week, and I'm grateful for that because it means the winter's officially over. And I will say, as a first-year pool owner, it was more frustrating in the winter to take care of a pool because there was so much snow and ice that I've had to clear off the cover or fear it would collapse. Because we have an in-ground pool, I had to knock ice off the pump that pumps water off the cover. It was more work maintaining a covered pool this winter than it was an open pool in the summer. So good riddance to the winter. Let's bring on summer and pool season.
Okay,
All right.
Here's some advice from a pool owner. Used to have a pool, 7.0 pH. Diatomaceous earth and keep it running.
There you go.
I will take that to heart.
There you go. All right, Dan or Jim, what's on your mind? Anything else? Tidal flooding or otherwise?
No, just keeping tabs on everything and trying to stay ahead of everything. You know what? It's really tough when you get old trying to stay up with the technology. It's overwhelming. I'm telling you. People coming up now have so many. Oh, one thing I was going to say. Remember the snowstorm we forecast 70 or 40 inches of snow and nothing happened?
Yeah.
Well, back then, we probably had 70% less computer models than what we have today.
Sure.
So maybe if we had the advantage of those models back then when that big one was missed, maybe it would have been a different story.
Yeah. Probably so. All right. Well, thanks, Jim, as always, for coming on. We'll have you on again.
I thank you guys. I thank you. I really
Absolutely.
like staying in touch with you. I really do.
Absolutely. The pleasure's ours, Jim, as always.
Thanks, Jim.
We'll,
All right, take care, Dan.
We'll talk with you soon. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tidal Flooding.